James Harden has developed a series of movements that have made him quickly recognized. The swooping shot with a step backwards or the zigzagging finish near the rim have been the key in his explosion as an NBA star, and the critics were not long in coming. Does James Harden travel while taking steps backwards? Help us to answer it by staying with us until the end of the video. The details of this technique will surprise you, and you will never be able to criticize it again. "I'm tired of hearing that's about footsteps," says James Harden about his step back. The Rockets player is about to start a preseason with his friend Russell Westbrook and didn't hesitate to show his discontent with the critics of his game. The Houston Rockets star is one of those players who, because of his style of play, either loves or hates himself. There is no middle ground. One of the reasons for his animosity among many fans is his constant dance about the norm and the rules that, at times, may seem to enjoy a referee's protection. Nothing could be further from the truth, and something that Harden himself admits to hate. "I don't understand where this whole step thing is coming from. I'm tired of hearing that I'm committing steps," said the Beard in the media at the Toyota Center in Houston. To the coaches, players, haters, and fans, accept it. It's going to stick around for a long time. It's going to be here forever. They only criticize because it looks different from what the world is used to. That's called being a creator. It's called changing the game, so live with it. And hopefully your favorite players will start doing it too, commented the player in reference to his playing resources. Harden has finished in the top 2 in the last 3 votes for the MVP, getting it in 2018, and has made the step back an extension of himself, being able to repeat the same move over and over again during a game without being stopped. Now, in his 9th season at the Houston Rockets and a reunion with Russell Westbrook, Harden will be looking to finally make it past the conference finals and try to reach a ring that resists him. That's right, James Harden offensive. The player who is destroying all records has no limits. His offensive play continues to progress when it seemed that, after the MVP, he would not be able to do so. However, against all logic, the Rockets' base kicker has put his attacking plot back into another dimension. No NBA player had managed to stay above the 33-point average since the 05-06 season, when Kobe Bryant finished with a whopping 35.4 points on average. But Harden has set out to break that barrier and catch up with the big boys. The Beard is at 33.3 points on average, with a higher effectiveness in field shooting than Kobe's in that season, 54.7 for Harden by 49.1 for Bryant. Lower shooting volume, 29 shots per 100 possessions for Harden's, 35 shots per 100 possessions, and a higher incidence in the total production of his, both in the offensive rating, 118 points scored with Harden for 100 possessions that surpasses Kobe's 114 in the same range of action, and in the number of assists, 8.4 per game for the Houston star and 6.5 per game for the 24 Angelino. With these numbers, it is clear that Harden is in a historical record, seen 30 years ago, when a certain Michael Jordan finished the campaign of 89-90 with 33.6 points per game, an effectiveness in the field of 55%, 3.5 field shots per 100 possessions, an offensive rating of 123, the third best mark of his entire career, and 6.3 assists per game. The statistic doesn't lie, but it also doesn't explain why he took another step in the offensive section of James Harden. His potential has been growing over the years, and although much of the blame lies with his immense innate talent, the hours of work to make the most of his resources, understanding of the rules, and his development in technical concepts have allowed us to give a player unique in its kind. Let's go over some of his great virtues and strengths in the offensive section, for which he has had an impact on the game and, in general, on the NBA. Here are the 3 concepts that have allowed him to continue progressing on his way to the top: Euro step, zero step, and pick and roll. Harden is one of the best when it comes to marking the steps and executing each of the supports. His big IQ on the paint allows him to take advantage of each one of them, and with Euro step among his most used cards, he has become a master when it comes to finishing. With that plasticity when making the second support, changing the directions of his steps toward the basket, and attacking decisively with his pair, Harden usually finds enough space to leave the tray in the hoop. He likes to wait until the last moment, when the defender takes the first step and can no longer back up, to control the ball and start the tackle almost at the same time he receives the rival attack, allowing him to go out without opposition, stretch his arms, and score the 2 points. His feint and outward opening to end up finding the goal is a real marvel. He protects the ball by holding it at his stomach level and pulling it out when he knows almost exactly that he will not get the block. Another player would prefer to risk less on time, but Harden has such mastery of the ball, such body control, and so much confidence in his mechanics when executing the steps that he rarely misses. Stylish and elegant, but above that, very clever, and with a great strength in his legs to explode and cut to the basket with a lot of power. The United States is the country of the zero step. Players like John Wall or Antento are true artists in this technique already widespread in the old continent. But James Harden is the first place among the practitioners of this religion. As coach Diego Blasquez explained at the time, the zero step is an extra support allowed when controlling the ball, either after a rebound, a pass, or his own bounce. The player has one foot on the ground and is in motion. In the old days, that was the pivoting foot, if we made a stop, or the first of the two supports allowed in the basket tackle. Now that support doesn't count, and that's why they call it zero. So we keep counting as 1 and 2 the other supports the player gives on the floor. So it's a concept that makes the offensive player much more unpredictable, faster, and with more resources to change direction on the run or generate spaces to stop and shoot. The outside of the Houston Rockets plays with two things when making this move: ball control and the difficulty of the referees to interpret when it is controlled, something that the NBA tends to let go in the case of doubt, and is that the referee committee is clear. If it is difficult to appreciate live, it is not sanctioned. Harden is dominating the orange ball in a big way. His dedication to improving his rebounding skills and his hand switching while accelerating and decelerating at will make him a very difficult player to referee. There are many occasions in which he has generated controversy with his movements in the social networks, and although in some plays he has skipped the rules without punishment, in most of them it is not an arbitral failure, but an extreme success of Harden to put in trouble the human eye and exploit every resource allowed by the current regulations. Harden uses zero step to gain a small advantage by throwing the body back with a step back. Where other players would take an inch or two, Harden puts a foot in and shoots with total comfort. Another of his most common resources, in which he includes the zero step, is when he uses the Euro step, combining it with the step zero in order to avoid his pair without any problem. In this case, it is important to take into account the control of the ball to avoid incurring steps. But returning to the step back, Harden puts on his high IQ, his absolute control of the ball, his devastating change of pace, his good use of the body to absorb contact without losing coordination, and his balance not to fall into his own trap, the one with which he manages to bite the dust at his own pace. He is elite in this respect. His game has always been extremely difficult, but his evolution to become a better passer every day has made him an unquestionable weapon from the perimeter. On the other hand, he is an exterior with a great vision for passing, which allows him to look for the best positioned teammate once he receives help. Another of his strengths in this facet is his reading of the game. His fundamentals are first rate, and you can see in two details. First, in the search for contact with his defender's blocker, and then in the assistance once he has left his zone to avoid the base shot. And then there's his magic. There are tricks that are not taught. We hope that you can understand a little better the overflowing moment of clarity that Harden is experiencing, following in the wake of his last two courses and trying to go beyond. His best version to date is this one, but we don't know if the future will bring anything better. It seems hard to imagine, but with Harden you never know. Most things can be explained, but some things are beyond logic. That's why basketball is so beautiful, because it combines the simple with the complex, the possible with the impossible. What is not impossible is that you get all our news by subscribing to our channel. Use the button below and start receiving all of our news as soon as they're published. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out some of the videos on the screen that we're sure you'll love.